So what do we use to actually make these mycelium objects? This is not just mycelium. Mycelium is actually just that white part that is binding all of its, like we said, the substrate, the home and the food source. And what do we use as a substrate?
So substrates tend to be less nutritious than a grain or an agar. We tend to use hemp in the lab because it has a very good structural properties. So we have, for example, a rougher hemp, a more fine hemp. Some other examples can be straw, sawdust, cocoa coir.
You really want to find what your strain of mushroom mycelium likes to grow on, and some mushroom mycelium preferred straw kind of carbohydrates, some prefer a more complex nutritional medium like hemp or cocoa coir, and some grow really well on fibers, but not all. So it's an exploratory process, and you can mix and match all of these. You don't need to just stick to one substrate.
If you have a much finer substrate, you tend to have a much more dense final outcome. So that might make the product a bit heavier, a bit more fragile. So we tend to mix a variety of different substrates in order to get the formula that works best.
Some we use for structural purposes, like straw, for instance, as you can see, makes already like a really nice matrix. So it makes our mycelium matrix even stronger. It sort of reinforces that geometry. And same with a lot of fibers. But if you just had this, it would create kind of a really dense material. So we use other things like hemp chips, or you can even use wood chips, depending on your strain of mushroom, to not only give it strength, because hemp is a really strong material, so it also reinforces the strength of the mushroom mycelium, but also to allow it to have some space so that it can grow, because mycelium actually needs a lot of different things to be able to grow. It doesn't only need the nutrition from the substrate, it needs space, and it needs air, it needs humidity. It wants to roam and to be able to encompass fully the substrate that you're giving it so that it can bind it properly. You can also grow on a textile and actually grow some more flexible materials. If you wanted to grow a skin, and then you could kind of peel it off of the textile. In this case, this is again hemp or jute. You could also make a matrix with different fibers, like we mentioned.
This is the outcome of mixing fibers together and then allowing the mycelium to grow on top of it.
Like a fluffy aerial mycelium, which creates more of a foam. So what is this mushroom sculpture made of?
So this is actually a combination of reishi mixed with large hemp husks and fine hemp husks, and coffee peels, which is the skin of the coffee. So all of these are waste materials from other industries and were locally sourced. And in this case, I actually allowed the mycelium to fruit a mushroom by giving it the right conditions for it to grow. My little baby.
Yeah, like Jess said, this is one of the amazing reasons why using mycelium as the base or the binding organism for making some of these materials is so great for sustainable design. It's because we can use waste materials like packaging, cardboard, and waste materials from agricultural industry, even from breweries. You can use actually like spent grains to give those materials that otherwise would go to wasteland or would just be compost, which compost is amazing, but if you can actually give that a material a new life and make something else, a new object that will also be beneficial for the soil, and like it also biodegrades, then amazing. And you could also use anything cellulose based. So we've also been experimenting with using bacterial cellulose. You may know this as a SCOBY. It's a more difficult process, but yeah, you can also use the SCOBY from kombucha, and you can also use cellulose from cardboard, from paper. Yeah, lots of different options.
Literally anything. Sometimes you can even use like orange peels. That's another sugary cellulose-based material. Sometimes I find like pieces of seeds or like trees off the ground, and I will use that just to experiment.
So this is a call to you to look around your bioregion, look around your garden space, and see what is a waste material that you could introduce into your practice, and see if you can give that as a food source to your mycelium and create a new object out of it. Just play around with it. It doesn't have to be exactly what we tell you.